Check, check, check.
Whoa. I'm on. We ready, Max? What does that mean? We're on. Bim bum, bim 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 bum, bim 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 bum, chiri biri biri bim bum, bim 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 bum, bim 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 bum. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Chiri, biri, biri, bim. Bim 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 bum, bim 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 bum. Ya la da 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 da. I guess we should wait for that one, shouldn't we? Let's do this one. Because that one we sing sometimes into Havdalah. I'm not ready for Havdalah. I want Shabbat first. La, 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 la. That was the same one. I want to sing that one very badly. When I sang that one, we did it on an album at Green Family Camp. We called it Havdalah la 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 la. And I got to talk to Debbie Friedman, Zichrona Livracha, may her memory be a blessing, and she said, whoa, do this chord instead of that chord. I think I changed it, I don't know. But she said she forgot that she wrote it. And when I spoke to another person who was there that summer, someone I was in Israel with, she said that she did that song at SWIG, which is the Nifty camp that was out in California. She said she did she did it as a, they sang it as part of their Torah service. They did it as part of this Torah service, that they used that melody. But I'm trying to do, there's a bim bam in here somewhere that I'm trying to get out. Sometimes it's really nice to have words, songs that have no words, songs that you just sing and then they become, you breathe with it, and that's all you do. It's that. And I have a whole bunch of them, but most of the ones I know are peppier than that. And maybe you want to be peppy. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Shh. You're supposed to do that. You have to say shh at the end of it. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Shh. Did we talk about the power of the bim bum? When you say, you laugh at me. When you say bim bum, think about what it does to your lips. Think about what it does to your body. Some of you were in the session that my brother did about healing and sound. And he talked about, and I see this in a whole new light now, he talked about how cats live hard days sometimes where they're jumping places and landing hard and things like that, and they hurt muscles and they hurt bones, and then they curl up. We call it, there's a croissant, and then there's the bagel, the baguette. That's what we talk about. So when he turns into a croissant, and they roll up, and then they purr, the purr is kind of a perfectly, no pun intended, tuned to your body healing tone. And he taught us how to find our own tune, our tone for healing our body, that if you kind of sing until you can feel your chest vibrate, like going, find a note that vibrates, and then purse your lips a little bit once you find that note. So let's say you go, whatever that note is, and then you go, and you'll heal yourself. But if you say bim, bam, you feel your lips vibrate. The b is a good feeling, the m is a good feeling. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum bim. Nobody else is doing this. It's hard for me to play guitar and shush with my finger. You're supposed to at least be able to shush with your finger. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum shh. Bim bum biddy biddy bum biddy bim bum. Eli, don't listen. I feel like I'm dealing with a bunch of middle school kids right here. Everybody's just doing the whatever, you can't make me shh. I'm going to try to make you to breathe also a little bit. That's part of what this does. It kind of loosens you up and helps you to feel the words and be the words. And I always like the nigunim, the melodies that don't have words, because sometimes you get to put your own feeling, think about what you want to in there instead. But as you know, when Shabbat begins, we leave our stresses out there, so maybe singing for you is a stressor today. I don't know. Is that what it was? No. You think that the service is going to be longer because I'm bim-bombing with you, don't you? No, you know me better than that, don't you? Okay, good. So first thing I want to do while I'm on this side of the room is take a deep breath, because we can. Let it out slowly. Feel your shoulders relax, feel your neck relax. Try it again. Let it out slowly. Keep breathing. I'm going to come over to the candles. We're going to turn to page 82, and I invite you to please rise. If it's comfortable for you to get up and sit down, you don't have to get up and sit down if it's comfortable. Page 82, please read with me. These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illumine our uncertain steps. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Sabbath of peace. Let's do it in English first. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the Sabbath lights. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Please say Shabbat Shalom to someone you came in with, someone you didn't come in with. Make sure everybody gets a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Somebody you don't know, you especially have to Shabbat Shalom them. And then please be seated. And Adam, I love when you welcome our angels. We're going to turn to page 84 and we're going to welcome some angels. You know that there's the tradition that you have Michael on your right hand, And Gavriel, my strength is God, on my left hand. So this is who is like God. This is my strength is God. In front of us, we have Uriel, which means my light is God, shining our way. Behind us, we have Raphael, which means my healing is God. And above us, I always imagine it like a pachi on the kepi, is the Shekhinah, the Spirit of God. And so it's one way to think about it. Those are your everyday angels. In addition to them, we have these angels that bless us on Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei The synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel, born of our longing for the living God. It has been to Israel throughout our wanderings a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast, it has stood as the champion of justice, mercy, and peace.
Its truths are true for all people.
Its love is a love for all people. Its God is the God of all people. As it has been said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Let all the family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here, and here find life. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh, ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, דמרו, אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך תקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ומרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach leolam vaed.
God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, you cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you. Even so does your goodness pass before us in the realm of nature and in the joys and sorrows of life. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live within our hearts, and we, through righteousness, behold your presence. Shema Yisrael, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. I'm going to ask you a question. I don't normally interrupt the service. I want to ask a question. You see how it says, I am your eternal God there? I remember many times in scriptures where it says, I am your eternal God. Somebody asked me a question the other day, and I haven't Googled it yet. I'm trying to figure it out. How many times in the Torah part of Tanakh, the Torah part of scriptures, do you remember ever hearing that it says that God is omniscient or omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, or everywhere at the same time? Where does it say it in the Torah? And I know that it says all the time that God is eternal, but I also know that it says that God is becoming, what God is becoming. And I want to know where it says that. It's something that was a good thing to think about, and I don't want to Google it yet, so don't spoil it for me yet. But think about it, the relationship we have with God. And here it is. I wanted to remind you that this is God speaking here. I'm not speaking. See the quote marks? I, the Eternal One, have called you to righteousness and taken you by the hand and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
We are Israel, witness to the covenant between God and God's children.
This is the covenant I make with Israel. I will place my Torah in your midst and write it upon your hearts. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
We are Israel. Our Torah forbids the worship of race or nation, possessions or power.
You who worship gods that cannot save you, hear the words of the Eternal One. I am God, there is none else.
We are Israel. Our prophets proclaimed an exalted vision for the world.
Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice well up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream.
We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed.
You shall not oppress your neighbors nor rob them. You shall not stand idle while your neighbor bleeds.
We are Israel, taught to beat swords into plowshares, commanded to pursue peace.
Violence shall no longer be heard in your land, desolation and destruction within your borders. All your children will be taught of your God, and great shall be the peace of your children.
We are Israel, O God, when we are witnesses to your love and messengers of your truth.
You are my witnesses, says the Eternal One, and my servant whom I have chosen. Know me, therefore, and put your trust in me.
We are Israel, O God, when
we proclaim you, God, our Redeemer, as did our ancestors on the shores of the Red Sea.
Ya la 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 la
ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. This week we have a group of kids coming back from summer camp and a group of kids going to summer camp between first session, second session. And many years, the song that they love most is this one on page 91, the bottom of page, the Hebrew. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. It's a beautiful prayer. It's a prayer we only say in the evening. You've heard me describe it before, that sometimes at night things feel more intimidating, less sure, and so we say this prayer, top of page 92. By the way, I forgot to tell you, we're in service 3. I was supposed to say that at the beginning, right? You can tell we're in service 3 because it's 80-something. I'm supposed to tell the people who are watching it online so they could decide which thing to click on. Page 92 in service 3. Think about that. Think about finding some comfort in lying down. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. O God, spread over us your shelter of peace, of quiet and calm, and bless us with rest. And let a time come when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish, a time of happiness, of contentment and rest. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkah shalom. Praised are you, Adonai, because you spread over us a sukkah of peace. Aleinu va'al kol amo Yisrael, upon us, upon all of the people Israel, v'al Yerushalayim, and on Jerusalem, and I always add, v'al kol ha'olam, and on the whole world. We give thanks for the night and its rest, and the promise of peace for all the world. We find some confidence in the fact that we lie down to go to sleep. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 93. We begin with a song that is a prayer to say you're praying to be able to pray. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, ve'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. Melech ozer umoshia umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. God of all generations, of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, be praised. Your wondrous creative power fills heaven and earth.
And help to the falling, healing to the sick, freedom to the captive. Confirm your faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust.
Awesome and holy God, be praised. With acts of love and truth we hallow your name. As it is said, all y'all, be holy, for I, your eternal God, am holy.
God of times and seasons, be praised. Enable us through Sabbath rest to explore and learn and impart the meanings of your Torah. Make our hearts ready to serve you this day and all days.
God who answers prayer, be praised. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you. In this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God.
Source of life and its wonders, be praised. You are the miracle within all we behold. You are goodness, you are compassion. We give thanks to you forever.
And we continue about peace, God of peace, of justice and of love, be praised. Inspire us to banish forever hatred, war, and bloodshed. Help us to establish forever one human family united in peace. God of peace, bless us with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon l'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Lo'olam. Tasim Lo'olam. Tasim Lo'olam.
It's time to say the prayer that's in your heart as we take a moment to pray silently. ratzon.
May the words of my mouth
Imre fi v'hegyon libi.
and the meditations of my heart
Lefanecha.
be acceptable to you.
Lefanecha.
Be acceptable to you.
Adonai Tzuri.
God, my rock,
Tzuri v'goali.
my rock and my redeemer.
Adonai Tzuri.
God, my rock,
V'goali.
and redeemer.
This time in our service, our hearts and our prayers turn to those who are ill or recuperating as we turn to the inside back cover of the prayer book. If you have names for whom you would like us to be saying prayers of healing or recuperation, I encourage you to call them out now. For all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud, we pray together. O God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. And it has become our tradition to add a prayer on behalf of our military, police, firefighters, EMTs, doctors, nurses, and veterans. Mishabarach avotenu ve'imotenu, may the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we have entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom, protecting us, or healing us in this country and the land of Israel and everywhere they've been called to serve. Give them courage to succeed and strength to persevere. May they return home safely, and let us say, Amen. We continue on page 162. You ever have one of those dreams where it's the final exam and you forgot to ever show up to class? Okay, that's what we're doing right now. It is a new month. When we started Shabbat, we began a new month. So, for a passing grade in this Shabbat class, who wants to guess what month we're about to start? I'm going to give you a hint, because that's the kind of teacher I always am. Because I look better if everybody gets A's than if everybody fails. I'm not lying. I should have told you ahead of time what the answer was. We talked 2 weeks ago about a holiday that most of us don't know about, the 17th of Tammuz, which was a fast day. And we said that the reason why it's still a fast day is that it's 2,000 years since the beginning of the breach, when the walls were breached. The walls in Jerusalem, the walls surrounding the temple in Jerusalem were breached by the Romans. And at the end of the 3 weeks, something devastating, life-changing, world-changing happened to the Jewish people almost 2,000 years ago in the year 70. What is it that happened that we lost the first temple on that holiday? We lost the second temple on that holiday. The Spanish Inquisition started on that holiday. Do you know? What was it that happened on that? The second temple happened. Do you know the name of the holiday? So I have a joke about it. For those of you who are going to summer camp, Which holiday is it that occurs during the summer and reminds us of bunk beds at camp? It's Tisha B'Av, because the holiday is Tisha B'Av. Sorry. So Tisha B'Av means the ninth day of the month of Av. All you have to remember is Av. That's the name of the month. It's a very short name. And it's a very sad month. A lot of sad things happen in this month. But I don't want to be sad. I think we get to figure out how we want to be this month. I'm feeling hopeful this month. So on page 162, we begin the new month, and we get to say that the new month of Av begins today, because as soon as we lit those candles and said these are Shabbat candles, even if the sun isn't totally down yet, we still get to say it's Shabbat already. And when Shabbat started, the month of Av started. So you know what that means. After Av comes Elul. After Elul comes Rosh Hashanah. We ready? Yeah, we got this. Page 162. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu shetichadesh aleinu et hachodesh hazeh. I wanted to be able to say that. L'tova v'livracha. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us renewed good and blessing. See, I'm hopeful. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, and health, a life full of blessing, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. This next part stresses me a little bit. Wondrous God, in ancient days you led our people from bondage to freedom. That's good. Redeem us now out of our exile from one another. That's stressful. I don't like that we have exile from one another. Making all Israel one united people. Rosh Chodesh Av Hu Hayom. The new month of Av begins today. God of holiness, let the new month bring for us and for the whole house of Israel life and peace, happiness and joy, deliverance and comfort. And let us say, Amen. And actually that part about the separate us from one another, that reminds me of the Torah portion for this weekend, my commercial for tomorrow. I hope you heard in the announcements that we've done already twice today, and you're going to hear again at least once today, that we have services in person. It's the second Saturday of the month. We've been doing second Saturday of the month in person. I was mentioning that somebody called it, what did I say it was called? Some kind of, I don't know. We're calling it hybrid sometimes. I don't know if it's hybrid, but we'll be in person and we'll also be on Zoom, because we don't want to lose our Zoom friends, because they've been coming all year and now they would miss us. But so we're having the hybrid. So tomorrow we'll be in person and on Zoom for the Kiddush Shabbat, for the Torah study, for the Shabbat service. And the Torah service, the Torah study tomorrow, we're at the end of the book of Numbers. That's another hint that we're getting closer to the High Holy Days, because that means next week we start Devarim, we start Deuteronomy. And you're going to recognize a lot of things that happen in Deuteronomy. Great things happen when we end books, but this ending has two Torah portions. It's a double portion. They're called Matot and Maseh. And I found an interesting commentary about how they things that they have in common, although when you read the details, some of it is a little bit of a stretch to figure out how they have it in common. But the two Torah portions, according to this, consider the importance of recognizing boundaries. So when I think of boundaries and I think of borders, a lot of times I think about places, right? Boundaries. When you think of boundaries, what's like the first thing that pops into your mind about a boundary? Is it about a location? It's about setting off like your property line from the other property lines, or your country from other countries. We just talked about as the prayer, every month we say this prayer that we want to we pray that this month breaks the bonds that keep us from each other. So it feels to me like there's these boundaries that are set up, these almost, in Hebrew it's called a gvul, that there's a boundary, there's a border between us. And we want to take those down. When you think about it at your house, some of us have fences, at least on part of our houses, but parts of our house are not defined by a fence at all. And yet we know where to stop mowing our own grass and where to start, where theirs starts, that sometimes these borders are invisible, and yet we sometimes feel like they're there. So in this Torah portion, it's not just about physical boundaries. In fact, it's mostly not obviously about physical boundaries. In the Torah portion, it's also about things like, we are standing kind of at the border of Israel, so that's an obvious border. But sometimes it's about abstract boundaries. So for example, an abstract boundary in Judaism, we just started one. I'm going to say that there's kind of a border between Shabbat and the rest of the week. And we put that there. Or how about keeping kosher, about the foods that people can eat and can't eat? And it doesn't have to be kashrut. What if you don't keep kosher? I bet that you have some food, or maybe I shouldn't make that bet, that there may be foods that you won't eat and maybe foods that you will eat. Sometimes it's for health reasons. Sometimes it's for taste reasons. Sometimes it's texture. People won't eat it because of the texture. But we have boundaries that we don't want to cross over. Another kind of abstract boundary is about speech and commitment. The Torah portions start with these laws about making vows. And so the rabbi said, why is it you're about to get into the promised land? I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. Why is it that now we're talking about how important it is to deal with vows? And so one of the obvious answers is that your words have lots of impact. And sometimes we need to be aware of the boundaries of what we should talk about, or sometimes we need to take down boundaries and talk to each other. And I know sometimes people look at me in the middle of services and are like, okay, Rabbi, you can put up your boundary now and move on to the next part of the service. But I think about that, and we were talking before about how sometimes some things about this past year made us more aware of some boundaries. Things like feeling like we were trapped in the house. We could have stepped outside. I kept joking that it was kind of like the ground is made of lava, and so you don't go out. Just remember the ground is made of lava. But guess what? The ground wasn't made of lava. We had a border that we said we're going to protect each other by not going past these lines. And sometimes it was an interesting thought about where our boundaries start and where they stop. And I realized at some point when I was trying to decide what to talk about, how I feel about boundaries, I got very stressed because I thought about how important words are, and if I use certain words and I express the kinds of boundaries that I think we should have or not have, I realized that sometimes my words are going to be taken in exactly the opposite direction of what I wanted to say. So if we talk about how Jews are set apart, sometimes people see that as a negative. Sometimes people see it as a positive. I was truly in a place this week where someone said the words, so we know that this guy is Jewish, but it may surprise you to find out he was generous anyway. That was a boundary I wish I hadn't gone anywhere near. I wish I didn't have to hear that at all. I heard that. And so the point is, I think that this guy thought he was breaking down barriers, and instead it was a very stressful thing. And to me, I don't know if anybody else caught it, but I certainly did. Where are your boundaries? What are the things that you think are boundaries? And do you think that having boundaries helps you or hurts you? Because I think that sometimes in Judaism, trying to give you guidelines, those are sometimes boundaries, and I think that sometimes it's helpful. I'm going to suggest that having a Shabbat is a wonderful boundary to separating a day from the rest of the week. So I'm going to let everybody enjoy their Shabbat. Think about boundaries for me. Tell me what you think boundaries are, especially, as you know, for me, when it comes to speech, talking, commitment. Madam President, Kathy, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to say Kathy. I would love to not have to have borders between people anymore.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi Jana has an onyx scheduled for this evening on Zoom. It'll begin about 30 minutes after this service ends. Is this on?
Max? Yeah. On.
I'm on it this end.
Okay, we're on.
Okay. In other words, check the website for details about how to join. It is the second Saturday of the month, as Rabbi has already explained, so we will have in-person and on Zoom the Kiddush Shabbat from 9 to 9:30. And at 9:45, Torah study will begin, and it'll follow at 11 a.m. with Shabbat morning service. It is important that you register use the registration form for these services, whether you're going to be here in person or you're going to be joining us via Zoom, so that we'll have some idea where we're at, and also so that we can give you instructions on how to get into the building. We're trying to change up some of our security protocols. Next Friday, July 16th, Ricky Murov and his family will lead services to give Rabbi Jana some time off. And because she will be off, the office itself will be closed through the week. Normal hours, office hours are from 9 to 12 because we're in summer, and we are closed for Jewish and federal holidays. There also will be no Torah study on that Saturday that Rabbi has gone, July 17th. Amy and David Branis are proud to invite you to join them to celebrate as their daughter Avery helps lead the service and is called to the Torah in honor of her becoming a bat mitzvah. This will be 2 weeks from tonight, 6 p.m., Friday, July 23rd. Please also join the family for an Onyx Shabbat dinner after the service. We have been reminded that there is an urgent need for blood and plasma. Please call LifeShare Blood Center to donate. There are more details on our website. Please be sure to check your email as well in one call. Donations were made to B'nai Zion Sisterhood Flower Fund in honor of B'nai Zion by the Sisterhood. Shabbat Shalom, stay safe.
Shabbat Shalom. That's one of those.
And have a good holiday.
Yeah, thank you. That's one of those border boundaries, right? That first you're 12 and a kid, and then poof, you're 13 and an adult. We put that boundary on people, right? That's a good thing, a before and after. We turn to page 148, and we ask that you rise if you're comfortable, standing in body or standing in spirit, as we like to say. Yes? The announcement just came. On Friday night, Mirovs are leading service. On Saturday morning, find yourself a Shabbat experience.
I apologize.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. And on the facing page, we are going to talk about how God's name shall be one, and then God shall be one. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו is closed. You may be seated. Thank you. If the rabbi's off on Saturday morning, there's no Torah study and no service this year. First time ever. We're not going to do it. On page 151, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We include all the names of those people who had died in that tragic building crash. I mean, the numbers kept building up, and we still have a number of people missing, and I expect that we're going to find, unfortunately, more bodies. I did hear a good news from that, and that is that they found a cat that had gotten stuck under the rubble, and it came out 2 weeks later, came out alive. I want to let you know, if you hadn't heard, that Jack Selber passed away this week, and his funeral is going to be Sunday. The family is having a private ceremony, and then Sunday after that they're having a service, a memorial service at their congregation, their synagogue. I say that now because the tradition is that we don't say their name until they're buried as part of the Kaddish. And if you had not heard, Gene Stein also passed away recently. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. I invite you to turn to page 153. In nature's ebb and flow, your eternal law abides. As you are our support in the struggles of life, so also are you our hope in death. In your care, O God, are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Your power gives us strength. Your love comforts us. Life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts. Fill us with trust in you and turn us again to the tasks of life. And may the memory of our loved ones inspire us to continue their work for the coming of your sovereign rule. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. I did not give you numbers. I think you all know those numbers. We don't have anyone else for Shloshim right now, but we do have the congregants' parents who died within the past year. We remember Tommy Crowder, Sophie Lipo, Robert Talbert, Joseph Paris, Artis Robison, George Rothkopf, Henry Brenner, Ron Riley, and Fred Phillips. And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own. Those for whom we're observing Yortzeit this week include Eleanor Abramson, Mary T. Wildbat, Randolph C. Bailey Jr., Lena G. Barron, Julius Baskin, J.R. Dawson, Lester Hayes, Dr. Bernard Henry Hirsch, and Gus Hirsch, Joanna Neustadt Horn, Morris Hyman, Flora Leibowitz, Rose Mandel, Harvey Miller, Irvin Neerman, Isabel Posner, Babette G. Rabe, Valerie Roos, Juliette Pearlstein Simon, and Wilhelmina Sauer. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on 154. Its translation is on 155. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom, Yeheh Shmei Rabbah Mevarach La'alam U'Lamei Almaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Shmei D'Kudsha B'richu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yeheh Shalama Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. You may be seated. So why did I say Shalom pop out of my mouth right there? Because I decided I was going to do that as our closing song. It's right there on the page. We might as well do it. 155. And it's a song that comes out of the Kaddish, which people think of as a sad prayer because we call it the Mourner's Kaddish. But it is also a song of a prayer of hope. Oseh Shalom b'mramav, may the one who makes peace in the heavens, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, make peace on us, v'al kol Yisrael, and on all the world. And as you know, I like to add, v'al kol ha'olam, and the whole world. And we say, Amen. Oseh Shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol ha'olam, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol ha'olam, ve'imru amen. Please rise for the closing benediction. May you have safe travels. May you have a really awesome time, whatever you're planning to do for the next few weeks. In case it might happen to be camp or something, just in case, or vacations or anything. May we come together and be able to worship together. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up to you. May God grant you peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. See you tomorrow, huh? Ya ba bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam. That's what I wanted to do. Ya ba bim bam, ya ba ba, ya ba ba ba, ya ba bim bam, ya ba ba.